Is Jim coming with you, Ian?
I can let him pinch double-sided, but just pinch the second side black.
Right. Order. Good afternoon and welcome to the Backbench Business Committee. We have in front of us this afternoon 4 applications which will be made by Backbench Members of Parliament. I should say at the outset, though, we are still not aware of any time allocated in the main chamber of the Commons to hear these debates. And just for the record, next Thursday it will have been 8 weeks since we had any time in the chamber. We are always hopeful. We do have a meeting planned with the Leader of the House to discuss this issue, but as of at the minute, we don't actually have any time in the chamber to allocate. There may well be the possibility of some time in Westminster Hall. I'll just ask applicants to bear that in mind. Okay. First up this afternoon, an application from Mr Ian Murray, and that's early diagnosis and the cancer workforce in the NHS long-term plan. Ian, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I know you like brevity, so I'll be very quick. I'm presenting this on behalf of colleagues who, surprisingly given the events that are happening across the parliamentary estate today, are not able to join me. But this is essentially to try and tie in with the publication of the NHS long-term plan, which we should be seeing in the next few weeks. So what we're attempting to do here is to have a debate, not necessarily around early diagnosis, but around what the workforce requirements will be in the National Health Service to deliver that plan. We know that by 2035, 1 person every single second will be diagnosed with cancer. It's a huge issue. The Prime Minister in her conference speech back in October said quite clearly that they want to set a target of 3/4 of all cancers to be diagnosed at an early stage by 2028. We think that's an incredibly ambitious plan, but the correct thing to do. And this is really just to try and have a debate about what the workforce requirements are with regards to trying to meet those targets, because they're very good in theory, but the practice of these complicated diagnoses are often much more than they would appear at face value. So we would looking for a 90-minute debate. You'll be pleased to hear in Westminster Hall and not the main chamber, to take some of the pressures off the lists, the growing lists of debates that you have. It's important now purely because the NHS long-term plan is just about to be released. So we're looking for some time in December or January to try and coincide with that to raise some of these important issues. And of course the new Secretary of State for Health, Matthew Hancock, has said that one of his top 3 priorities is indeed to address the workforce issues. And I don't want to swear in the committee, so I won't use the B word, but the B word will make those workforce issues even more difficult in terms of immigration post-Brexit Britain. So the opportune time to address some of these issues, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Bob, please.
Yes, I'm very sympathetic towards your cause, and thank you for applying for a Westminster Hall debate. But the key issue then is Tuesday the 8th of January, Health and Social Care answer debates. That would be quite early on in the new year. If you were offered that date, would you be able to accept it?
I think
for a 9:30 to 11 debate?
I think we would be able to accept that, yes.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, please? Short and sweet, brevity, fantastic.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair.
Thank you. And next up we have Mr Peter Aldous, please. Good afternoon, Peter.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr Mearns.
We have an application from you on social mobility in county areas, and this is an application for a Westminster Hall debate on Tuesday or Thursday, a general debate of 90 minutes. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Right. Over to you, please.
Right, thank you very much indeed, Mr Chairman. Last month, the APPG for counties, which I chair, in liaison with the County Councils Network and the Localis, they published the Social Mobility in Counties report. And basically it identified that in county areas, and I would also highlight coastal areas in particular, there is a problem with social mobility. Young people do not move on and are not taking up the opportunities that they are probably in city and metropolitan areas. This report highlighted the issue and came up with 11 recommendations as to how we might address that, which were fairly wide-ranging recommendations, everything from broadband, additional education funding through early years, devolution was very much there, and also universities playing a greater role in the communities in which they are located. I think from our perspective, with the local government funding settlement expected shortly, with a fair funding review of education about to take place, and also a comprehensive spending review, we were keen to sort of make sure that the report does not gather dust on the sideboard, and to highlight these issues to make sure that this issue, which I think is a major problem in our country, is actually addressed. And I think with that in mind, we were ideally looking for 90 minutes in the new year in Westminster Hall. I'm conscious that I'm here on my own today, and what I would say is we've had reasonable cross-party support from other members of the APPG, and I would be looking to confirm that for you, to really not only just the APPG members, but really all those MPs who represent county areas.
Thank you very much indeed. I think I should just point out something for the record. Comprehensive spending reviews were a concept of a previous government. Okay, Bob.
Peter, thank you for the presentation. Two issues. One is that not only do you appear alone before the committee, but your application appears alone without any other sponsors or speakers. You mentioned a cross-party group of individuals. It would be very helpful if you could supply that list to our clerks.
I recognise that, certainly. I had one colleague who was due to be here with me today, who I suspect for reasons what else is happening in this place today hasn't joined.
We understand that. The second issue is, notwithstanding the comments that you've made, which government department would answer this debate?
I think we would be looking at Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. There are, if you look at the recommendations in the report, they cover a number of areas. You know, I've talked about broadband, so that is media and sport, education as well. But I think it is predominantly what we would be looking to go to Housing, Communities and Local Government.
Which could fit with Tuesday the 15th of January, if provided you had a list of speakers that were commensurate with our requirements.
I would be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else, please? Peter, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon. Thanks a lot. Thank you. And next up, please, Mr. Toby Perkins.
Thank you.
And it's an application on fibromyalgia. Right, Toby, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll start by apologising to the committee, if I may, for failing to attend last week. I was crestfallen that my other engagement overran and I misjudged it, so my apologies to the committee for that. Yes, the debate follows a petition on fibromyalgia. That I presented in Parliament, that was a physical petition signed by 1,379 people that mirrored an online petition on the change.org website that was signed by 104,551 people, contending that fibromyalgia is a disability. The petition called for greater research into the causes and treatment of fibromyalgia, and called for greater awareness of fibromyalgia amongst both the medical profession, government departments and employers. Fibromyalgia is a condition that is hugely misdiagnosed and underreported. It is debilitating, it's draining, it often reduces people who've worked hard for years to fatigued and listless lives of pain and discomfort. It features chronic pain, muscle stiffness, and excessive fatigue. There's no known cure for it, and as many as 1.5 to 2 million people in the UK may well be victims of it, including dozens of people in every single member's constituency. The petition was started by Adrienne and Leanne Lakin from Chesterfield. At least 12 honourable members have already indicated an interest in speaking in the debate. So, with the committee's permission, we would like to have a Westminster Hall debate so that it can be given greater awareness and profile.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
I assume this would be Health and Social Care answering the debate. Is that your...
I believe it would be either Health or the Department of Work and Pensions. I mean, it could be either of those, really.
Right. So potentially, if it's Work and Pensions, it could be the 15th of January as a debate on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Would that be acceptable if that's...
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, right.
Okay, thank you very much. There is also potentially some time, Toby, on the last day before the Christmas recess, also in Westminster Hall. So would that be acceptable to you?
Well, I think I prefer the 15th of January, maybe, if that's possible in terms of the opportunity to kind of build the profile there, but obviously up to the committee, but we'll maybe prefer the January one.
Okay, there may be competing tensions for the same date from different debate applications. That's the problem. So we'll have to try and sort of slot everyone in where we can. Okay. Anyone else, please? In that case, thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. Thank you. And lastly, up this afternoon, we have Vera Hobhouse, Clive Betts and Ben Bradley, and use of permitted development and the nationally significant infrastructure project regime for shale gas exploration and production. I've got a funny feeling that most people would regard that as fracking.
Yeah, fracking, that's about right. It's called other things as well, but fracking will do for the time.
Okay. Right, so this is an application for a general debate, but in the chamber for 3 hours. Over to you, Clive, please.
I think Vera's going to.
Vera, sorry.
Well, thank you very much for hearing us. Again, because of other business in this place, we don't actually have the Conservative member here, but we do have really cross-bench support. And I think that the previous Westminster Hall applications were led by 2 Conservative MPs also shows that this is really very much an issue that really exercises all of us. There are 150 live, in 150 constituency, live applications are currently there and could be used. So it affects a lot of constituencies and the local people. And I apologize for the very long name of the debate, but it shows that it is actually having several issues wrapped up in each other. It's basically... For me, it is giving local people a voice, and local people are being sort of threatened by not having a voice from 2 sides. That permitted development would enable exploration drilling happening without local planning committees making a decision. And on the other hand, if a drilling was happening in earnest, then it would fall under nationally significant infrastructure projects. So on both sides, local communities are basically threatened that a decision is going to be taken out of their hands. And it is very much about local democracy. Apart from the fact that this is about fracking, absolutely, it's about fossil fuel exploration at a time when we have the IPCC report, we have the International Committee on the Paris Agreement in Katowice currently going on. We need to do something to combat climate change. So it is an issue that is basically covering a lot of things that exercise our minds as MPs, which is why we believe it's a very important debate. It had 2 Westminster Hall debates where where MPs couldn't have their say, and it needs to be further explored, and therefore we are applying for a main hall debate.
Okay, thank you very much. Clive.
Yeah, just very briefly, I think that the number of people who attended those debates shows the strength of feeling across the House. The government has been consulting. I think it's right it listens to elected members on this issue. And I think we're in that situation now where, even without a formal vote, ministers might change their approach with the weight of parliamentary opinion. And I think this will be an opportunity for that to happen.
I went along to both the Westminster Hall debates, and it was impossible to get to speak. It was just so busy there, and actually probably more on the government side than on the other side, but it was packed. And certainly in respect of the first, there was 2 different departments, but the responses weren't great, and I think that we do need the opportunity to press it further.
Okay, Mark.
I just echo those points, Chair, that I attended one of the debates and just was able to make an intervention, but there were a great number of people who wanted to speak. We have heard on the House of Commissioners of Local Government about this process, and it is at a time like this, when local democracy is really threatened, I think it's a major debate we should be having about ensuring local people are heard.
Okay. I mean, given the fact that you are, having had 2 Westminster Hall debates, looking for chamber time, and I know that chamber time is very, very rare, it's hen's teeth, I'm afraid, but we would, obviously, even in that context, still be giving precedence to debates which have a votable motion for chamber time. Have you thought about trying to pull together a votable motion on this issue which the applicants can variously subscribe to?
I think very easily, Chair, we could simply say that we don't want the government to go ahead with either of the changes they're proposing. It could be as simple as that.
And the consultation is only just finished, so it's quite urgent, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, while we already have a long list of unheard debates, should time become available on Thursday the 20th of December, which is the day before, the day of the House rising for the recess, would you be willing to take some chamber time on that day if it was available?
Well,
yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Okay, just for the record. I mean, I haven't got a crystal ball. Yeah. In fact, I haven't even got a functioning snow globe.
Well, I mean, I know personally I can definitely be here and speak. So, you know, the commitment for people to speak.
Yes.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much.
What crystal balls? We understand Mr. Ashley shut themselves down in his shops these days. So.
Well. The thing is, I mean, far be it from me to tell tales out of school, but someone from the government benches asked me last week what it would take to get people on my side of the house to back the government's agreement motion, and I said if we could in some way, shape or form get rid of Mike Ashley from Newcastle United, I might be tempted.
I'll take £4 billion for that.
Allegedly, he's going to sell the club next week. That's what we're told.
Allegedly.
All
right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Can I just ask? Because we've obviously got to take a decision on the allocation of time. If you insist on chamber time, it is likely that you're going to have to wait till after the February recess, because the queue of debates which are already in place, which can only be taken in the chamber, there's many ahead of you, basically. We can fill up every allocation, were we to get them, till the February recess. Now, I noticed that you've put down that basically by the 20th of December, preferably, or no later, 31st of January. So obviously it makes it time sensitive. You would get a guarantee of Westminster Hall on the 20th of December. I know you can't put your motion, but at least you would have the debate in Westminster Hall for a guaranteed 3 hours, if you choose to take it.
Not Westminster Hall.
Well, in which case, your likelihood is you will not get a debate in the chamber till after the February recess, because we've got. I mean, I don't think you should be going away with any illusions. We have a list of I don't know how many there are now.
12.
12 debates ahead of you in the queue for chamber time. Some of them have come back with what they will do in terms of the 20th of December and other dates. So they have been waiting longer, so they get first priority. So I don't want you to go away with any illusions about the opportunity. However any of us feel about the subject, we've got to look at the priority in which people have applied. And
I should just clarify. I was asking about the 20th, just for the record. And just in the unlikely event that all of that 12 applications should refuse at that time. Okay.
So we are talking about a main hall or a Westminster Hall?
No, I'm talking about the main chamber.
Yeah, main chamber. That's what we are after, because we've done 2 Westminster Hall debates.
Indeed,
they were short.
Well, absolutely, we understand that. But it's just so you're aware.
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, notwithstanding the potential fortunes of Newcastle United or Christmas or my crystal ball or my snow ball. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
That's very nice. Right. That concludes the public deliberations of the Backbench Business Committee. We now go into private session. Order. Thank you very much.